Hey folks, welcome back to Honey Money SG. Now this time it is the February BTO official launch, and in this video I'll walk through some of the BTO details as well as the site plan so that it can help you make a better review and analysis of which project to go for and which unit you may want to select. So with that, let's move on to the HDB official website. Let's go. Alright folks, so let's start off with the Yishun BTO for February, and for Yishun we actually have two projects. So the first one being Grove Spring at Yishun. Now this development will have 8 15-story residential blocks, so it has all the units, right? 2-room flexi, 3-room, 4-room, 5-room. And let's take a look at some of the details. So the completion date is actually at 4Q 2024, which is an estimated waiting time of 26 months. So you noted that this waiting time is actually much lesser than your usual BTO waiting time of 4 to 5 years, right? 26 months is just about 2.5 years. So for those people who are interested to get your keys faster for your new BTO flat, then you strongly want to consider this Grove at Yishun, right? So we take a look at the flat types and number of units. For Flexi Type 1, we have 56, and 2-room Flexi Type 2, we have 140, 3-room 82, 4-room 373, and 5-room 336. Total number of 987 flats at the Grove Spring at Yishun, right? So the location of this BTO is actually along Yishun Avenue 6 and Yishun Avenue 8, right? This parcel of land here. So I already covered this previously in my Yishun BTO video, which you all can take a look. And there will be a proposed nursing home and a proposed church just right at the left side of this BTO project. So now let's take a look at the site map, right? I think that's what a lot of people are interested in. So here is the artist's impression of your Grove Spring at Yishun. So not very tall, just 15 stories height, and we have 8 blocks of this. But it's a fairly big project, right? 987 units. So if you want a high chance of getting a BTO flat, definitely consider Yishun. So here is the internal area. That's where your adults playground, children's playground, adult fitness station will be located at. So we move on to the actual site plan. Now let me zoom in on this, and first let's take a look at some of the amenities and facilities first, right? And for this project we have children's playground, fitness station, and also precinct pavilion, drop-off porch. These are the usual stuff. For social amenities wise, we do have future amenities and facilities, so they haven't planned on that yet. They do have a residence network center and a childcare center at the first story of the car park, right? Usually the childcare center is at the car park, which is at number 8 here. So your multi-story car park is actually along Yishun Avenue 8 and not along Yishun Avenue 6. So for those people, you actually need to drive in a little bit more if you're coming in from the Yishun Central area. And let's take a look at the block numbers, right? We have 481A to 483C, total number of 8 blocks, 15-story heights. But if you're applying for a 2-room flexi flat of Type 1 and Type 2, then you're only limited to 483A and 483C. These are the only 2 blocks with the 2-room flexi flats. And then for 3-room flats, there's an additional 483B. Now the rest of these blocks, right, 481 to 482, they only have 4-room and 5-room units. So that's the planning out here. And so let's take a look at this site plan, right? You see that over here, there's actually a reserved site for future high-rise development. So this land is actually dedicated to build some high-rise property in the future. So for those units who are facing this direction, you may not get the view. But looking at the site map, there are actually no units facing this direction, right? So you don't have to worry about that. I think it's more important on whether your unit is facing the west, because we don't want to be exposed to the west sun, because as the sun heats up your walls and the windows during the evening time, it will get really hot and you need stronger air conditioning to cool down your entire room. So if we just look at this map layout, I don't think there are many units that are facing the west other than those at this site, right? Those units that are facing this northwest direction. So try not to choose those that are facing the northwest. If not, you'll get the evening sun, which can be really hot at some times. And just an interesting note that those 2-room flexi and 3-room flats are all located on the left side of this BTO project, whereas all your 4-room and 5-room flats are majority located in the southeastern side of this project. So this whole area here is all 4-room and 5-room flats, right? So you have a big selection of options as a 4-room flat or 5-room flat owner. I just want to highlight those unit stacks that may be more favorable for this Grove Spring at Yishun, specifically those that are facing the south, right? the north-south facing flats, especially at this area, because they will not get the eastern morning sun or the western evening sun. So those units that are in this orientation, north-south direction, would be really ideal. And in terms of feng shui purposes, right, we always talk about 坐北朝南, that means seated on the north and then facing the south. That would be the ideal feng shui orientation if you are really into that. And most of the blocks at this area have about 6 units to 8 units per floor, so the density is not really high, right? But the downside for this project is that there is no attached coffee shop at your nearby area, so you can't go downstairs to go and tapao your food or anything. You probably have to head to the nearest food center or coffee shop in the nearby housing estates. Now with that, let's take a look at the floor plan and the pricing, right? Let's start off with the 3-room flats. For the 2-room flexi flats, I'll do a separate video on that. So for 3-room flats, we have an estimated internal floor area of 68 square meters. So the price range is between 180 to 248,000 Singapore dollars for the Grove Spring at Yishun. So if we do compare to the flats nearby, the flats nearby are around 365 to 395. So you're getting at around 180 to 248, which will be quite a good deal, and provided that it's a new lease, a brand new lease of 99 years, right? So HDB will do up this financing for you. You all can go and take a look. Okay, for layout ideas wise, there are actually 2 layouts. So let's take a look at the first one. This is a typical 3-room layout. We have 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. So once you enter from the main door, household shelter on your right. On your left, we do have the dry kitchen and the wet kitchen, where you can separate it using a glass door or glass panel, but you have to build that up yourself. HDB is not going to provide you with that. And then we do have 2 bathrooms. One is the common bathroom and one is attached to the master bedroom. So this total internal floor area is 68 square meters, and if you include the aircon latch, it will be a total of 71 square meters. And this will be an open kitchen concept, because this concept is getting more popular, and to reduce costs, right, HDB is not going to provide the walls. So if you do want to have a separation wall, you have to build that up yourself. Now let's take a look at the second layout, right? I think this is more interesting. Most of the layout is the same as the previous one, other than this balcony area attached to the living room. So there's additional square space, about 3 square meters, right? Because previously we were talking about 71 square meters and now it's 74 square meters. So you will have additional 3 square meters of balcony space, but because of this additional space, it's going to cost you more definitely. And later we go back to the site plan and see which are the stacks that are available for this balcony area, right? The rest I won't go through, is the same as the previous unit. Now let's go back to the site plan, right? And see which are the ones that have this balcony unit. Okay, so you can see that this unit stack 937 and unit 885, they have this protruding square out of their unit, right? So this indicates that these 2 stacks actually have the balcony, and I would assume those that have these square blocks out of their unit will be the balcony stacks. So for this site, I only see 937 and 885 having that balcony stack. And then we move forward, right? We do see some of the 4 rooms being the yellow ones, having this small square out of the living room. So those are the stacks that really have the balcony units. So if you do want to select a balcony unit, then you have to take note of this site plan and see whether your ideal stack has the balcony unit. And of course, those that have the balcony would be the more popular ones, because generally people would love a balcony and have additional space, right? But you can see from this site plan, there really isn't a lot of units with the balcony, right? So those will be the really hot units. And let's move on to 4-room flats. So 4-room flats also have an internal floor area of 92 to 95 square meters. So definitely there's a difference, one being the balcony, right? Price range between 270 to 362 for the 4-room flats. So if you combine to the nearby flats, resale flats are around 445 to 493. Versus a big gap of 270 to 362. And if we look at the floor plans, this time we have 2 floor plans as well. So the difference between the 3-room flat and the 4-room flat is that the 4-room flat has an additional common bedroom, right? So it's the same size as the other common bedroom. Once you enter from the main door, the kitchen is on your left and the household shelter is actually located along the common walkway. So you do have a lot of dead space here that you cannot use because it's the walkway. But anyway, you also have 2 bathrooms. One is the common bathroom and one is attached to the main bedroom. Okay, this is for the unit without the balcony, so you can see that it's a bit smaller on the living room side. Now for the unit with the balcony, this time you can see that the floor area is increased to 98 square meters. So inclusive of a 95 square meters of internal floor area and 3 square meters of aircon latch space. So if we deduct the 3 square meters away from the internal floor area, which is for the balcony, then the net internal floor area is only 92 square meters, right? So the difference between this one and the previous one is only the balcony. And like I mentioned previously, if you want to have a balcony unit, there are only limited units out there, so look out at the site plan and see whether that stack is ideal for you and your partner. Okay, now let's move on to the 5-room flat. So 5-room have an internal floor area 110 to 113. Price range between 385 to 485. Resale flat nearby are around 548 to 645. Likewise, for the 5-room floor plan, we have 2 layouts, one having a balcony and one without. So we take a look at the first one, and the difference between a 4-room flat and a 5-room flat is they have an enlarged living room for the 5-room flats, right? Because you see this additional space for your suggested study, which you can make it into a home office, which is really popular, right? Especially now that many people are working from home. So you have this additional space that you could use and utilize to make a home office. But in any case, the rest of the features are the same. We have 1 main bedroom and 2 common bedrooms. We have 2 toilets, one attached to the master bedroom, and then the kitchen is more of a semi-open concept, right? Because you could build a glass door here to partition out from your heavy cooking. But for the rest, I think it's the same. There's nothing much to talk about. And for the 5-room flats with balcony, this is how it will look like, right? So you have this balcony space additionally. So this time the layout is actually pretty standard. There's nothing special about this layout, just that the kitchen is a bit small for a 5-room flat. I think it's not much different from the 4-room flat, right? Okay, with all the floor plan and the price discussed, right, I just want to talk about this non-optional finishes. Now, for usual HDB flats, right, you all have this optional component scheme, which you all can opt in or opt out, depending on whether you all want HDB to do up some of the renovations. But this time, the price has included all the vinyl strip flooring in the living and dining area, as well as the bedrooms, right? And then we have floor tiles in the bathroom, household shelter, kitchen, and balcony. We also have wall tiles attached to the bathroom and kitchen. We also have all the internal doors for bedrooms and folding doors for bathrooms, all constructed for you. So you cannot choose, it's all pre-selected for you. And even the sanitary fittings, right, like the wash basin with tap mixer, shower set, and all that stuff are included in the toilet. So all these are included in the price, and that's why the waiting time is much shorter, because HDB don't have to consider every applicant's option, right? Whether they want to opt in or opt out, they just build everything in. So that's why it's a shorter waiting time. But this can be a downside for some people who don't like HDB design. So you have to consider seriously about that. Alright, so let's move on to the next Yishun project, which is called Yishun Boardwalk, right? The other February 2022. So this time they also have 8 residential blocks ranging from 10 to 15 stories in height. And there are 852 units in total, right? In terms of 2-room flexi, type 1 42, type 2 140, 3-room 80, 4-room 313, and 5-room 277. Estimated completion date at around 2Q 2025, which is a waiting time of 30 months, so slightly longer than the previous Grove Spring at Yishun project, right? So you have to take note of the waiting time. Now let's take a look at the artist impression. So this is how it will look like, okay? Look quite nice from the artist impression, right? We do have this river, the Yishun River. So if you are into Feng Shui, you probably want to buy a unit that's facing this greenery and the water, right? So that you have water flowing through, which also means your wealth is flowing through your house. And this is the internal area, so nothing much, won't talk much about it. And this project is called Yishun Boardwalk, because it's probably a lot of boardwalks around the BTO, around the river, right? I don't know, we'll see about that. And play facilities, we do have children's and adults playground, fitness station, all that stuff. We have future social amenities and a residence network center. And what is this green reserve? Maybe there's a park for people to plant their trees or what? Okay, I don't know about that. Okay, and then we have 8 residential blocks ranging from 10 floors to 15 floors. Okay, like usual, the only 2-room flexi blocks are these two, 337A and B. Likewise for the 3-room flats, the rest are all 4-room and 5-room flats. So there's like a clear social distinction, right? You see all the 2-room flexi and 3-room flats all within this area. And then for the other project, the Grove Spring is all here, so they are all concentrated in the center. Okay, I don't know why you all have to ask HDB about that. But anyway, the 4-room and 5-room flats are all scattered along the other side, right? There is nearer to the drainage reserve that connects you to Khatib Park connector, okay? And there are a few bus bays here, bus shelter here, so there will be a few bus services running through here. So don't worry too much about public transportation. There will be buses ferrying you from Yishun Central. And likewise, there is no coffee shop downstairs. So you all have to tapao your food somewhere nearby and not at your HDB estate. So that's a downside, right? So like I said, Feng Shui purpose, you all want to select a unit that's facing the water so that you have more wealth flowing through your house, right? So you can select the units that are facing the northwest, but at the same time, because the unit is facing the northwest, you'll get exposure to the west evening sun. which is really hot, right? Sometimes. So for the others, you may want to select a north-south orientation flat so you don't get any exposure to the eastern morning sun or the western evening sun. So these are your ideal stacks, right? These stacks facing the north-south orientation, I think most of them would not get any sun at all. But the downside is you probably get a little bit of traffic noise depending on how busy the traffic is at Yishun Avenue 6. I don't live there, so I can't comment on that. And for this project, there isn't a childcare center because the childcare center is already constructed at the other project, right? The Grove Spring. Just right across here, you all can walk your kids there. Not a far walk. And likewise, you can see this site is reserved for the future high-rise development. So no units facing this direction anyway, so don't have to worry about that. But maybe there's some wind. Now let's take a look at the floor plan starting for the 3-room flats, right? The internal floor area is 68 square meters. Price range between 189 to 239,000 Singapore dollars. So resale flats, I won't go through the price anymore because I went through that previously. And let's take a look at the layout. This time, we only have one layout, so no balcony for you, and it's exactly the same layout, so I don't need to go through, right? 2 bedrooms, 1 living room, open concept kitchen, which you all have to build your own partition. No need to go through too much. Next, let's go to 4-room flats. So this time, internal floor area 92 to 95 square meters. Price range 276 to 374. So there's a difference. This time we have 2 floor plans. We have 3 bedrooms of a 4-room flat, 2 common bedroom, 1 main bedroom, 2 toilet, 1 living room, 1 closed concept kitchen, which you all can build a door here to separate the heavy fumes from heavy cooking. And then household shelter is located at the common walkway, so there will be a certain dead space. Now let's take a look at the other one. So there is a balcony unit for 4-room flat lovers. Okay, great. So if you want the balcony unit, definitely go and look back at the site plan. Later, I'll review with you guys again on which are the balcony units that you may want if you're a balcony flat lover. But other than that, the rest of it are the same, so I won't go through that. Okay, 5-room flat. So 5-room flat also have difference. 110 square meters to 113 square meters. Price between 410 to 490,000 Singapore dollars. And this time for the 5-room layout is the same as Grove Spring, so I don't need to go through. This time very easy. Everything the same. Okay, 3 bedrooms, 1 being the main bedroom, and large living area where you can attach a suggested study for your home office. Closed concept kitchen, can build a wall here. Household shelter along the common walkway. Okay, and then we have the balcony unit for this time, the 5-room flat. Exactly the same as Grove Spring. This time they really no need to design so many things. Just copy and paste, right? Easy. So easy. No need to explain so much. You all know what I want to say already. Okay, let's close this and go to what are the units with the balcony, right? For this Yishun Boardwalk. Okay, so like I said, those with the little squares out of their living room, then you can see that these are the ones with the balcony. So like this unit, 681 for the 4-room flat and 697 for the 5-room flat. And 677 look like have, but don't know why cross out also. I don't understand what is this cross out means. But this time the picture actually quite blurrish. We don't really see much detail on that. And sometimes I see these small little triangles outside the 5-room flat. I also don't understand what is it. But if you know what is it, just comment down below. I also want to know what is this. Why they design this kind of picture like this. It's the first time I see this thing. But anyway, if you're looking out in this project, for this direction, you have a park, so you have a lot of greenery here. So very nice. And likewise for Yishun Boardwalk, they want to boost construction productivity. So they will use the PPVC method, like the Lego method. So everything included in the price. You don't have to go and do some renovation for this like flooring, your floor tiles, your wall tiles, and the internal doors and sanitary fittings all included in the price that you pay. So depending on whether you like their design, it's a good deal or bad deal for you. Otherwise, you also have to spend money to hack away the HDB stuff. So I think if you really want to buy these Yishun projects, you must seriously consider whether you like HDB's design. And second thing, whether you want to select a balcony unit or not. I think that's really important. So that's about it for my Yishun BTO analysis. I think this is the best chance if you want to have a selection of the 5-room flats, right? Especially for the 4-room and 5-room units. And because Yishun is a non-mature estate, so there's probably a higher chance in getting this non-mature estate unit flats. So if you do find it useful for my analysis, do comment a thank you at the bottom of the video, and I'll appreciate it. And let's get back to the video. Hey, welcome back. So I hope that you have enjoyed my thorough analysis of the BTO site that you are applying for, and do take a look at the subscription rate as of the end of today. If you have found value, then remember to share it to your friends and family and give me a like at the bottom of this video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Also check out the prior BTO map analysis to go through what are the surrounding things around in your estate. With that, thank you for watching. My name is Christopher. This is Honey Money SG, steering young adults to financial independence.